already have some like trends in the back of my head, or I mean, already I have ideas for Kasamahan, but my process really is to go into what I've learned. I'm an advertising major, so I'm taking a course right now that's really about creative development. So I'm already getting ideas from that, sparks from that, and I'm also learning about persuasion. So part of publicity and trying to get people into Kasamahan, or maybe people already in Kasamahan, more involved is that kind of persuasion. So I like to look into what I've already learned and how I think that can apply and how I can bring that into Kasamahan.
I know that one of our most popular social media platforms is Instagram. How else do you use like Instagram and like other social media platforms to engage membership and also people who you accept or even accept as well?
So I think reels are super important with Instagram. I think video content is really what gets people engaged, especially if people see others they know, or even if they see cool people having fun. That already brings people and makes people interested. I know that if you were to see a friend in a post, you're always going to comment on it. You're going to see, I know that person. You're going to repost it. That repost is going to be seen by other people. And I feel like the membership highlights is really important for spreading the word for Kasamahan and publicizing. I also think TikTok is also a great place. The only thing with TikTok is that people don't usually go on their following page for TikTok, but I feel like with the right content and the right content ideas, then we can expand into getting on people's For You pages and getting that interaction. But I think Instagram is really the hot spot. People follow Kasamahan, even if they just go to their school. If they're not even in Kasamahan, people follow, I feel. So I feel like that is where I would really put a lot of energy and focus on.
Seeing as publicity is a position, a publicity director is a position where you have to communicate with a lot of board members and all of board on various different events all throughout the year. Sometimes these things are happening like days apart on the same day. How do you plan on staying organized in terms of this communication, but also in terms of not overwhelming social media platforms with all of the information coming out?
I have a lot of experience with committees and group leading, as I said, with my experience in high school. But I'm a pretty organized person when it comes to communications. I make a lot of lists, spreadsheets. I have a journal. I am a to-do list kind of person. So whenever there's something needs to be done, I'm always wanting to cross things off lists. So that's my process of keeping things organized. But I'm really good with reaching out to other people, especially with something so accessible with Slack. I always know where to find people, which I think will be helpful for me.
In this role, you collaborate with our historian and design director. How do you plan on adding these collaborations to your process? And if there is a clash of ideas on a collaborative project, how will you go about solving it?
Okay. When it comes to collaborating with other positions, like our historian and design, it's always good to bounce off ideas and get ideas from others. You know, my perspective is not the only one that matters. Everyone else's perspective is always going to be different, especially if others see a different side of Kasamahan that I might not see, which I think is good. Our historian has, of course, all the photos on Flickr, and one of my ideas for this year is to really highlight events after they had already happened. So people see, like, maybe if they didn't attend, they'll see photos that our historian would get, and we like, wow, that event seemed cool, maybe in the future I'll go next time. So that's one of the things I really thought about when thinking about ideas. And for design, I know publicity, there's always going to have to be graphics, so the collaboration there is really important.
If there were any other candidates, what would make you stand out, and what would you what would make you stand out from everybody else?
I have a lot of experience when managing things like social media. Like I said, in high school, I managed 4 different accounts in a year. And I also do a lot of personal content creation. So I'm very used to coming up with ideas. I consistently post, so I'm always able to come up with things daily if needed. I know it's not as intense for organization Instagram, but I feel like I'm very experienced when it comes to coming up with ideas.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
There may be moments when there are miscommunications with other board members in terms of the information they need sent out. How would you address a member that isn't being consistent and making your work harder?
I think not, because I know a lot of communication is through email and through text. I feel like being verbal, speaking to others when communicating is super important because that's where a lot of miscommunications happen and inconsistencies happen. So I feel like if I really need to get something across with someone, I'd be like, meet up, let's discuss this. Because if I really need something to get done and I'm not getting the information or the consistency from someone, I think it's important to meet in person and actually talk to them.
And this will be our last question for this portion. How do you respond to feedback? Is it important to your process? And how do you approach feedback that you may not agree with?
Feedback is super important. Like I said, there's so many different perspectives, especially if I'm not seeing every side of the Samahan that I need to. So very welcome into that. If I don't agree to feedback, I feel like there's always a way to incorporate feedback even if you don't want to fully apply it. If someone thinks an idea should be changed but I don't really agree to it, there's always something I can take from that and see what I can do while still keeping the integrity of my idea.